You're listening to the Fierce Fatty Podcast, episode 89. Do you hate your fat belly? Well, listen to this episode. Let's do it.
Perfect.
I'm Victoria Wellesby, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and fat activist. I have transformed my life from hating my body with desperately low self-esteem to being a courageous and confident, fierce fatty who loves every inch of this jelly. Society teaches us living in a fat body is bad, but what if we spent less time, money, and energy on the pursuit of thinness and instead focused on the things that actually matter, like if pineapple on pizza should be outlawed, or if the mullet was the greatest haircut of the 20th century. So, how do you stop negative beliefs about your fat body controlling your life? It's the Fierce Fatty Podcast. Let's begin. Hello, Fatty. How are you? How's life? You enjoying your summer? Are you enjoying your summer? Well, I hope you are. And well, I guess if you're in Australia or somewhere like that, in the southern hemisphere, is it the southern? All of the southern hemisphere, it's winter. So, it's like upside down land, isn't it? Yeah. So, well, I hope you're having a nice chilly winter if you're in winter times, but if you're in the same hemisphere as I, then happy summer. I am in my 4 weeks off. This is week 2 of my 4 weeks off. Yes, I've decided not to record the podcast for 4 weeks, and I don't want you to go without because I know you're so obsessed with me. Oh my God, why are you so creepy? And I know you can't possibly live without hearing my voice for 4 weeks. And so we've got some juicy replays of the podcast for you today. It was very easy for me to pick these replays because they stand out because people are like, oh my God, me, yes, I recognize myself in this. And yes, this is, you can see which podcasts are downloaded the most and all that type of stuff. So having on a guest from my program, Fierce Fatty Academy, in this episode, Bethan, and Bethan talks about her belly, her fat belly, and struggling with that, and people making comments about it, asking if she was pregnant when she's fat, and yeah, so that's what's happening in this episode. And Bethan has, having a serious kind of hate fest with her body. And the number one area that she's struggling with is her belly. And I know a lot of people struggle with their belly. And if it's not doing what society says it should do, if it hangs, if it protrudes more than what society says that is allowed. And it doesn't help when you see fucking influencers on the Instagrams being like, oh my God, look at my huge belly. Oh wait, no, it turns out it's just my uterus. Have you seen this bullshit? Being like, oh, my belly's so big. But it's okay, it's not fat, it's just my uterus. So it's okay, it's not fat, it's just because I ate some food. It's okay, it's not fat, it's because I was sticking my tummy out. Or when people are like, look at me, I've got rolls too, and they're like doing contortionist stuff, and you can see like a tiny little bit of skin like rolled, and they're like, oh, I'm just like you because I've got this huge belly. And no. So this one I want to give a trigger warning. There's a mention of spousal abuse, physical violence and emotional abuse, including a very brief mention of the R word and very brief mention of suicidal ideation. So if that's not feeling good for you today, then skip on to the next episode. But if not, let's get into it. I just came off a call with Bethan, and Bethan is one of my Fierce Fatty Academy members. Fierce Fatty Academy is my program, and so those in my program, we have calls where we do coaching. And this is kind of a snippet of what that looks like. So Bethan actually is someone, like, if every time I chat to her, I feel like we're the same person. We're the same person. Anytime she tells me something, I'm like, same. We were born in the same city, and we've had so many similar things happen to us in our lives that I'm thinking that my mum might have had a secret baby or something. I don't know. Maybe my dad did. And Bethan is the result of it. Because, yeah, a lot of same things have happened to us. And so we talk about how Bethan is struggling with loving or accepting or even, not hating her belly. And also the idea of dealing with people's judgments. And so if you are struggling with loving your belly, and if you are struggling with being anxious that people are judging you and what they're thinking, then you should definitely listen on up. But even if you're not, then listen on up, because there's some really awesome stuff in this episode. And by the way, me and Bethan spoke about this at the end of the episode. She mentions dairy milk. She says, we have dairy milk in the UK. Now, I know you have Cadbury's across the world, but here's the thing. Cadbury's in Canada tastes like chocolate with sand mixed in. It's a very different beast. And so if you've not tried British chocolate, then I suggest you do it, because it is delicious and lovely and makes my brain happy. And then when I go back to Canada and I taste the chocolate, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And so I find British chocolate when I can. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this episode with Bethan, who is a member of my Fierce Fatty Academy. Okay, so Bethan, welcome today. I'm so glad that I had a chance. I'm having a chance to chat with you. Would you introduce yourself, tell us about you, and so everyone can get to know you?
Yes, well, I'm Bethan. I live in England. I live in, quite nearby to where Victoria's from, Stamford. So, yes, I have come here because I've spent my whole life hating how I look. I've kind of had very weird health conditions that have sort of made it really difficult for me to lose weight, and I have found quite a lot of people be really horrible to me about it. And I was also in a abusive relationship, which kind of cemented my whole hate of how I looked. And I've been told continuously that I was a big girl and I took up too much space. And I just kind of want to love myself now, because I've kind of got through a lot, and I don't want to allow this to be the thing that really affects me for the rest of my life. And also, when I'm moving forward and meet people, I want people to have all of me and not just this part that I'm putting on to just fit in and try to wear baggy clothes, and so people don't make comments. Or like this morning I ate a brownie when I was out and I felt good about it. I was like, I'm going to eat that brownie. I don't care what all you people are thinking, because I know that I'm doing the right things and I'm happy. So yeah, I'm just trying to sort of, but be continuously happy, not have the up and down, because I kind of will have moments where I think, oh, maybe I've got this health problem, and then I think, oh wait, oh my God, I might lose weight from that, and I think, no, that's not the goal. That's not what I need. That's not gonna make me happy, because I did keto and I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Your and I's story is really similar. Like, I think that's why you connected with me on Instagram, because I both grew up in Peterborough.
Yeah.
Which is a complete shithole. Do you think it's a shithole? Is it a shithole?
Oh yeah. In full agreement. I was speaking to my mum about this the other day, and she said, it's such a shame that you were born there. I was like, I know, because I grew up in Deeping, but yeah, I was born in Peterborough. Very unfortunate.
I know, very sad. So we can commiserate and be like, oh my god, we survived. Oh my god.
Yeah, we got out.
Yeah, yeah. And as well with your abusive relationship, obviously I had that experience too. So I find it interesting. Like, I wonder how many people who have lower self-esteem, or maybe because they have bigger bodies, accept, not that we accepted a shitty relationship, but end up in a situation like that.
Yeah, well, I found that he kind of would say to me that I'm only doing this because you're gross now. Like, nobody else would fancy you. And I was like, yeah, well, actually, I believe that too. And at the time, I thought, fair play. And I always felt like it was the punishment that I needed. And it's really weird because now, and it's funny because, I mean, at the time I would think, or I'd see stuff on TV and I'd go, I would never let that happen. And then lo and behold, I was. And I think because you kind of separate yourself from it, but you just believe that actually this is what I deserve because everybody else treats you like that. My dad, who I don't talk to now, he would say to me all the time that I was a big girl, and my family members would make comments about how much weight I'd gained and basically making it sound like it was the worst thing to be in the world. But now I think I'm kind of getting to the point, but with myself, I think that if anyone said I was a bad person, that would be far more hurtful to me than being fat or whatever. Because I just think, whatever, at least I know I'm a nice person. And also because of the things I've had to experience, it has made me a nice person. So it's made me a better person. So even though what he did was horrendous, and it still does affect me because I live in a state of fight or flight. But I think it has sort of helped me sort of look at the world in a different way, though I wouldn't advise that you go through that to get to this point. But,
yeah. Learn to be a good person by being with a complete knobhead abuser boyfriend. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first got with my boyfriend I'm with now, who is a complete opposite. He held open a door for me, and I remember having my mind blown because my ex would drop the door as he'd gone through it. He'd drop it, so it would just hit me. And I remember one time he slapped me in front of one of his friends, and they thought it was hilarious because and they'd always make comments about how I looked. Like, they're like, I even had somebody at school say, it's such a shame she gained so much weight because she's got such a pretty face. And I thought, okay, so right, cool.
It's just, if my I literally did like an eye pop then, and my eyes feel strained from my eyes popping open so much, and like, oh my god, I can't believe that's just awful. Yeah, horrendous. Well, abusive.
When the person told me that this particular girl had said this comment, she went, that's a nice thing though, she's saying you had a pretty face. I'm like, had. She doesn't think that I could possibly be pretty when I'm bigger, which is crazy. Like, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that your body is the thing that makes you beautiful. I feel like the people who I've connected with most are the ones that have everything nice inside.
Yeah.
And because I think that's why, like, I related to you, because when I'd seen some of your stuff and then I started listening to your podcast, I was thinking, oh my god, yes. And I was driving along going, yes. And I was like, that's me, oh my god. And I think because I was just talking to my boyfriend about it, and I said to him, I feel that a lot of people think that being big is a lazy option, that you've just chosen to be it because you're gluttonous, and if you are, cool. But I know that I'm just trying to do the best to get by, and also I'm just trying to be happy because my happiness is far more important to me at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the podcast. Is that how you found me? Like, how did you find me and join Fierce Fatty Academy?
I think somebody had shared your account. They were talking about body positive people, and I can't remember who it was now, but I saw the name Fierce Fatty, and I've said to you before that I've had issues with the word fat, and it's still something I'm like, and I still feel not 100% comfortable with, but I'm getting there. And I saw that and I was like, oh, she sounds like my sort of person, because she can just say what she needs. And that's kind of how I stumbled across you. And then I think I was on your page for like an hour, like scrolling through and watching all the clips. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to message her.
You're such a creep, God.
I know, such a stalker. I blame lockdown.
Yeah, that's what it is. And so then how did you find out about Fierce Fatty Academy?
I think the main way, I think you'd posted something about it on your story. And I thought, ooh, that sounds like the thing that I need to top me up, because I've, after my abusive relationship, I had DBT therapy, and I sort of had all that, and I really turned my life around. Like my friends will say, and my mum will say, that I was a completely different person, and now I just seem happier, and the whole body image seems to be like the icing on top of the cake that I need. That because I just kind of always accepted that I probably won't ever be happy, because for such a long time I've just only ever looked at my face in a mirror, and I will not look below my chin because it just upsets me. But now I sort of look at it and go, you look good, like you got it. Like, yes, you're good. But yeah, and
say it's interesting how for me too, the very last thing, like I feel like I sorted everything out and I became more well balanced, and it was just the body image stuff, and it was so sticky and so difficult, and I was just like, oh, I just want to get thin or learn to like my body, and I couldn't do either. So so what are you getting out of Fierce Fatty Academy so far? I know you're still new, you've been in Fierce Fatty Academy for a couple of weeks, so you've not done the whole experience yet, but so far what have you got out of Fierce Fatty Academy?
How supportive it is, but just I've found that it's given me a little bit of a kick up the butt that I needed. And the other day I posted in the group about a local swimming pool to me had put something about losing weight, and so I just messaged them and I just said about how in this society that shouldn't be like your focus, it should be fitness, and just being strong and doing it because you love something, not because it's for the gram and like, look how skinny I am. Like, so it's kind of given me a real oh my God, I didn't know this existed, that I could actually like myself. And it's really useful because when I've been going through the resources, there's so many resources that, like, I just assumed that the only places that you could buy bigger clothes was like Boohoo and ASOS, and that's it. But it's nice because you've got all these different, I've been having a look through them and I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't even realise this. And it's nice because it feels like I've just stepped into this whole new world that I had no idea existed. And I like how it's laid out as well. It's very clean, and it doesn't feel like, because some people that I've come across before, I've kind of felt that you can only ever be positive about it, but there are positives and negatives to how you feel. So it's nice because there's a balance, which I've not always seen. It's always been like, you need to be positive about everything, when actually some days you just want to be Debbie Downer about it.
And that's important, right? Like I have a thing next to in my office, let me just show it to you, which is embrace the suck. And so like embrace the shitty and the good, because it's all important for growth and whatnot. Amazing. Like that the list you saying about like the resources, I always thought like, oh well, there's one place that I can shop or whatever, and then I started doing some research, and I think it's like 176 places that you can shop in that section. I think it's a lot. It's like you couldn't possibly shop at all the stores, and so when you've got all of this extra resources like films to watch or podcasts to listen to or books to read, and just so you can surround yourself, and that's just like one of the small bonus things, but it's just so massive, like you say, to realize that there is this whole other world out there. It's amazing.
Well, it's because a lot of my thing is that I love colour and I love wearing clothes that make me happy. Like my whole house, I've got loads of different colours and I love it because it makes me smile. And when I first gained all the weight, all I would do was go into a shop, go to the back of the rail and be like, oh, okay, that'll fit, that'll do. And I didn't really think about what would make me happy or stuff that would drown me, basically. So I didn't show my body. Because for a long time after what had happened with my ex, I'd refer to it as my crime scene. Because it's kind of, he'd say things about it. He'd say that I had Snoopy boobs because like saggy and like stuff like that. So it kind of got into my head a bit. And so I just really wanted to cover it so I didn't ever have to look at it. And I would go past windows and look up. And now it's nice because my clothes, I'm starting to actually get more to how I want to be, like colourful. I know I'm wearing a white t-shirt right now, but I dropped coleslaw down the other one. So
valid excuse.
Yeah, so I was like, I was enjoying it too much. But yeah, like it's I think it's just important to have those things and to almost feel like it's quite validating because you can see it and you think, oh my god, this list is actually made for me. Because so many times I'm scrolling through Instagram and the things where they're like things you may like, and it's like these people that are not me. And you know, I don't want to see my whole newsfeed with just my face, but I'd like to see some people that actually have some curves, some rolls, some actual looks like they've eaten a cake, like quite a bit, because we love cake. And I don't want to have that. I feel like there's this whole sort of society of like being made to feel guilty for just being human, which is mad. Like we're human. We can't help but have rolls and like all those sorts of lovely things.
It's so interesting you say about your ex saying you have Snoopy boobs, which is just, I just want to roundhouse kick him in the face. That was one of the big things that my ex said to me, not Snoopy boobs, but he'd always be like, oh, your tits are saggy. And I would always be like, oh God, this is so shameful, because in the UK, it feels like there's a really big culture where, you know, like with page 3 and
Yes.
the culture is like tits, like women's tits, like big, bouncy, perky tits. And doing this work, it's really made me realize that I think that if you if your tits are, you know, like a medium size, or even if they're big tits, more likely than not, they're not perky, because it's not possible. Like, because this is like, they're tits, this is what tits look like, you know. I think it's more common for women to have saggy tits, and saggy tits in a beautiful way, saggy boobs matter, than it is to have like perky tits. But all tits are good, but still, like that was a big thing that I had to learn, is that my tits are just normal tits and they're great, and they're sexy and all that type of stuff. So
yeah, well, you know, with my my boyfriend now, he'll always say that he just likes me as I am, and I'll say to him, I told him about that, because for a long time I would wear a bra around him because I was like, oh my god, he can't see me without, because I was just so worried. And now I'll just actually get like kitchen towel and be like, oh. And he's like, you've got sweaty boobs. I'm like, yeah, you better believe I do. And he's like, oh, he's like, that sounds awful. So I can just now be comfortable, whereas before I'd be like, I don't sweat there, I don't sweat anywhere. Like, when actually I do a lot.
I'm not a human being, I'm just like a sex robot here to pleasure you.
That's my whole purpose, like I will serve you.
So we're here to talk about, like, you know, giving you a boost and helping you out with any struggles that you have right now. And it sounds like you're doing really well. But I'm curious, what is one area that you're currently struggling with?
So I'll just do a little bit on what's going on with me. So at the moment, it's been difficult. I've found that because, you know, everything going on at the moment, it feels kind of bleak. And I think a lot of it is that I'm seeing a lot more of myself and I'm getting to know myself a lot more. And I think that's been challenging, because I feel like I've come a long way in lots of ways, but there are little things that still get to me. Yeah, one of my main things is kind of how my body looks, specifically my stomach. I really struggle with that. And because the thing is, I'm not big in the way of, say, what a lot of people might think was big, but I've got my stomach sags and it's uncomfortable, and I genuinely won't like my boyfriend to see it, and I just say to him, please look away. I don't mind here because he's seen them now, or he's seen it all. But I just say, please don't look at it, because it just hangs and it looks horrible for me. And the thing is, I'm trying to be less mean to it, because my the abuser guy, he would make comments about it, poke it, and like just generally be a dick about it. And I think a lot of my little hang-ups with little parts of my body, or big parts of my body, are because of stuff he said. And I mean, I broke up with him, I'm 28 now, and broke up when I was 23, so it's been a long time, but it's still got the scars that are still there. And I think because he would always make out that bigger people weren't people that were kind of worthy of a lot of respect, because he'd sort of say that, because of the whole, I don't fancy you, or I won't, people won't fancy you, so I'll just sleep with you, just as a favour to you. Even though it was non-consensual, he would still sort of say, well, I think that, I'll just do this for you, because he's such a charity guy. So yes, that was one of the things that's kind of been difficult for me. And also because I've been in my relationship with my boyfriend for 2 years now, and the whole onslaught, and especially when you're heading towards 30, the whole questions of, when are you getting married, when are you having kids, and all those fun questions. And I kind of, in my head, I'm thinking, so when I get married, I'm going to be slim. Like, I know that. Like, that's my little picture in my head. Like, I've got my Pinterest board, and I don't fit in with the Pinterest person that I've got. And I'm now trying to get my head around the fact that, because I think it's mental when you actually think about losing weight for one day and then you go on your honeymoon and then like gain it all back. It's mad thinking that that's going to make you happy. And I get that people do it because they want the good photos, but also, is that representative of your true self, which is what I struggle with, because the thing is, I've got a lot of common sense and I'm very logical, but I do feel like I deal with two versions of myself. I deal with the emotional, needy one, and then the one that's like, that's ridiculous that you just want to lose weight for one day. But I can't always get that into my head. Like, it doesn't stick properly. That's like another major thing.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so belly and wedding. So let me just make a note. Belly and wedding. Now, you just said, it's ridiculous that you would want to be thin for your wedding, for one day. Is it ridiculous that you would want that?
Probably not, but also yes, because I feel like it's putting a lot of pressure on myself for something leading up to something that's going to be so wonderful. I think it almost, all the planning, and I know that people say it's stressful, but I just feel that for me, it's going to be something that I've been working towards, and it's going to be such a lovely day, because it's going to be something that, I've already said to relatives, if you think that you're going to tell me what we need at this wedding, then you're going to be out. Because I just want to be able to do it for myself. But I think the weight side, I don't know. I do think it is, when you look at other people's wedding photos. I did see one girl who I went to school with, and I thought, wow, she looks great. She's like curvier girl, but she looked great. But I can't see that as myself yet. Which is
because what would it mean if you magically, I don't know how this would happen, but magic. I don't know, Paul Daniels came along. He's a cheesy British magician. waved his magic wand and it was your wedding day and you were the quote unquote perfect thin body that you have dreamt of all your whole life, what would that mean? What would that mean to the people viewing your body?
Yes. See, I think that's where I think is my problem. I'm more concerned about what others think of it. I think one thing that I find challenging is being confident in that this is how I want to be, because it's kind of been a choice that's been taken out of my hands. So it kind of feels hard to be okay with it. But I think I would want it to be that I was small enough for other people's expectations, for them to think, oh, she would have had a lovely day and she would have been happy. And my boyfriend, he's very comfortable. He's a bigger guy and he's very comfortable with how he is. And I think that's been really nice for me to be around, which is kind of why I'm on this journey. But it's that little thing where I'm thinking, because my mum's 5'2" and she's tiny, and she would swap with me if we could. However, I don't think she would deal with what I've had to deal with as well. But also, I do sometimes wonder if she's maybe saying that she's okay with how I am, but not. Like, wish that I could have been like size 10. And obviously she would have wished, because I've got a few health problems, that I was healthier. But I think sometimes I'm like, are you just saying this because this is how I am now and anything else would be mean? So yeah, I think it's mainly because I'm concerned about what other people think of me, because I do think a lot of people see my way of life as almost being lazy and choosing a lazy option, which actually, I weight train, like I do those sorts of things, and I eat what I like to a degree. I mean, the thing is, I get nervous stomach, so I can't always eat exactly what I want, but I'm balanced. Like I said, I had a brownie earlier. And I think it's always about what other people think. I think I would not be in this situation had it not been for people letting me know what they thought of me, which I'd never think to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So is this the easy way out? Like, is this easy to learn to love your body? Has it been easy so far?
No.
Has it been a lot of work?
Yeah. I think the thing is, I think it's harder than keto and all the diets that I did, convincing myself that they were going to work. Because when I actually realised, like, actually just do the intuitive eating and, do those things that make me feel not intuitive. The thing is, I don't really follow anything as such. I just kind of go with, I really fancy some salt and vinegar crisps, so I'll have them. But I kind of sort of follow that sort of mindset, because I had so many foods in my head that I could not eat because carbs and chocolate is, we have dairy milk in England and that's the one. And I kind of got to the point where I was missing out on so many things and not going out with friends, and because I didn't want them to think, oh my god, why is she eating a salad? She clearly didn't eat salad.
Yeah, right.
Like that.
Right. Why is she lying? If you eat a salad, then you're lying, and if you eat like a cake, then that's why they're fat. And it's like you cannot win.
Yeah, like everyone becomes like Sherlock Holmes of like diets, and they're like, oh my god, she definitely doesn't eat salads. And it's like, actually, like I have a bit of everything.
So it sounds like your perception of your belly, if you lived on a desert island and you knew that no one was ever going to see your belly again, would you be worried about what your belly looked like? Or is it what other people think of your belly?
Yeah, it's what other people, because I will put something on. So at the moment I'm wearing shorts and a crop top and I'll walk around the house and I'm like, great, I don't mind it. But the second someone's eyes, because I'm not very good, if someone's eyes leave my face and go anywhere further down, I'm thinking, oh my god, they're thinking I'm fat, they're thinking I'm gross, oh my god, they've seen my stomach, oh my god, they've seen my Snoopy tits. Like, and I'm thinking, like they're gonna. And that's the problem that I've always had, people, because people have been really mean. I had someone shout at me or tell me to get out the road, you fat bitch. And, you know, I've had constant, you're a big girl, fat, or, you know, just, and that's why I think it's still a bit of a word for me that I'm like,
makes sense.
Yeah,
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, because I'm just like, oh God. But then, you know, it's never been put to me that it was a good thing, like how I am. It's always put to you that, oh my God, you're telling me you're that way, and you're just going to carry on doing that. Like, that's gross. It just feels like that you're almost gross and unattractive, and that you're not worthy of people, that to even just respect you, you know. And like, from just stuff that I've read on this Fatty website, like in the training, I've got my appraisal this week, and I'm gonna ask for a pay rise.
Yes.
And I'm like, because I know because over this lockdown I've done my work, and all through the year I've done my work, and I know that that's what I deserve. And there is part of me that has this image in my head where I'm thinking, do you deserve it though? Because of, you know, my own perceptions of myself. But
yeah, absolutely.
I have to keep reading stuff that I've got, like praise from different senior management and stuff like that, and I think, okay, and I have to reassure myself. But yeah, that really went off a tangent from the whole saggy stuff.
It's fine. So so my question to you is, how can you control what other people are thinking about you?
I feel that if my narrative of how I feel about me, it would almost make it better, because I work with foster children, and one of them said to me the other day that if you think positive thoughts about yourself, other people think positive thoughts about you. She's 12. I was like, oh my God, that's good. I was like, that's a good point.
So if you loved your body, would it protect you from other people making judgments about it?
I think they'd still make them, but it wouldn't hurt as much. I think that, you know, it's funny how I kind of tell people my past with my ex-boyfriend and then my current boyfriend. You know, I think you attract people when you're not in a good place, and I've had to cut a load of people out who I made the choice of having in my life previous to therapy and doing the hard work on myself. And I found that I've made better choices when my head's been in a better place. So I'm hoping that the same will follow with my body, that once I feel better about it, what other people think about it really won't matter. Because my mum will say, you know, you shouldn't care what people think. But it's also easier for somebody who is 5'2" and a size 10 or an 8 to say. So I've tried to explain to her that it's not that easy. Because, you know, I was wearing a crop top out today, and there was this one lady who kind of, she kept looking over at me, and I just wanted to be like, what? Like, can I help?
What do you think that she could have been thinking?
She might have thought, oh, I like her hair, or oh, her earrings are cute, but I automatically just don't hear any of that. I think you're not thinking that, because she was quite small, and I was thinking, you're probably thinking, oh, why is she eating that sandwich, and why is she eating that brownie, and just all in my head. And I said to my boyfriend, I know that I'm probably being really rational, but that doesn't compute in my head.
So what if she was thinking that? What if she looked over and she was thinking, ugh, she looks horrible because she's fat and she's eating a sandwich, how dare she?
I think it's more of a reflection on her, and her sort of fears of maybe being in a bigger body. And I think that a lot of this does, because my mum would say stuff like that about big girls, and, you know, or when people say stuff, I just think, is that because you're scared of it? You know, are you scared of being big? because you do always get these people that will go, I'm so jealous of your big boobs, and then yet they're always on diets, and you're like,
yeah, something doesn't
yeah,
compute there.
yeah, and they're like, I'm so jealous that you've got like an hourglass figure and you've got a big butt, and I'm like, but yet you're trying to downsize everything, so where's the lie? Like, are you just saying this because it's like when you say to kids like things to comfort them, but it kind of feels like that it's almost like a pity thing when it comes to being bigger, that it's almost like, oh
yeah,
that's
right.
your problem, not my problem.
Yeah. So imagine if you were super confident, or imagine if I was sat next to you when this person looked at you and we knew that person was in their mind criticizing you and saying, oh, you're horrible and disgusting. What would you, or me, if you can't imagine that, think or say or do in that moment?
You know what, it's really funny, I kind of draw a blank. I really don't know what I'd think. I think that's the bit of brain that I need to develop.
What would you think I would say?
I think you would probably tell me to fuck them and tell me that, like, what I thought was equally as important, and I shouldn't be putting so much power to them on ruining my day, I feel. And I think that because we're all going on different journeys, and I think it is crazy that we give so much power to other people, and especially she was literally probably someone that's not even thought about me since I've left that cafe. She's probably not even had a second thought about me, but in my head it's almost it feels you sort of make it so much worse in your head. You think, oh no, I know what she was thinking, like, and just because a few other people have made comments before, I think it's unfair of me to almost put her in the same category. But even if she did think that, I shouldn't care as much as I do.
Because it's not like that she's going to go home and be like, oh my God, you never guess what? I saw someone eating a sandwich in a cafe today. Oh, it's so unbelievable. Can you believe it? Like, the people in her life would be like, what the fuck? Like, why are you so interested in seeing a fat person eating a sandwich? Like, get a life. Unless they were also like, I don't know, weird or whatever. But yeah, we put this big thing on it. Like, they have, they've in their brain, they've deemed us acceptable or unacceptable, and we don't even know what they're thinking. And you've got this whole, thinking anything.
You've got this whole like play going on in your head, and you're thinking, well, she said this and I said that, and like, and and it's kind of a whole back and forth, when actually she might have been thinking something as innocent as, oh, I like her earrings, or her boyfriend looks like he's annoyed. He wasn't annoyed, he was just annoyed that our food took so long to get there.
Or she could have been scanning for the toilet because she had a massive turtle head or something like that.
Exactly. Like, all these options that I definitely didn't think about at the time.
And the chances of you ever knowing what she was actually thinking in that moment, it's like pretty much zero, right?
Because I've never seen her before, doubt I'll see her again. And it's like, because my mum always go, why don't you just try and think that they're thinking nice things? And sometimes, sure, but that doesn't really help me because I think at the moment I haven't developed that confidence in sort of thinking it fully about myself, because I will try and sort of say about feeling good about myself, but that's not 100% true.
Even
in the top 80, 100 sort of category, it's not really at that yet, but I find that it's nice being in an environment where there's people that do get it and don't just say, oh, I can imagine, because I've had people do that to me before. I had a doctor she was tiny, and it wasn't any shade against her, but she said, I can imagine what it's like to gain weight. And I just said to her, can you? Can you understand? And she was like, well, I can imagine. I'm like,
Mm,
You don't.
no.
'Cause people become absolute arseholes to you and subtly drop hints about diets that you can try. Like, and also, I had someone message me the other day asking me about keto, and I didn't feel comfortable. And I said to her, I was like, she went, "Oh, what do you think?" And I just said, I just don't do it. It's not good. And for me, I was like, I'm trying to do this, and sort of explained what I'm sort of doing with you. And she didn't say it a lot. But it's difficult because, I've listened to your podcast on talking to people about diets and stuff. And I have said, somebody, I was having a conversation the other day with somebody else, and they were talking about diets, and I went, yeah, well, I'm not doing that stuff anymore. I'm just over it. Like, I enjoy carbs too much and chocolate. So, like, I'm kind of over that, like, doing diets. And they're like, oh, yeah, me too. And I'm like, yeah. So,
Are you?
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
bet.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
I found more peace in just kind of realizing that foods weren't off limit to me just because I'm bigger.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
Helped.
So let's talk about this, that the belly thing again. Something you mentioned as well at the beginning that stuck in my mind is that you said something like, my belly is, and then I think you said, I don't know, something like horrible or disgusting or unattractive or whatever. Is my question to you is that truth, that your belly is bad in whatever way?
It's an opinion of my own, so it's not a fact. Other people might look at it and go, yes, it's great. But I'm not at that point. My boyfriend, he's very complimentary on just how I look. He's like, hello, beautiful. Hello, my queen. And he's very loving about it. But it's just one thing that it's because, getting out of the shower, drying it, and I hate all that stuff. It's something that I've not always had. And you think back to the reference points of, I was going through my phone today and I was trying to show my boyfriend a picture, and some old body photos came up of me just standing like with my boobs out and pants on. And I was like, delete. So I just got rid of them because I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep looking at them because it's punishing me. But no,
So,
it is an opinion.
So how does it benefit you to have that opinion when there is an alternative opinion?
I think it kind of sets you up for failure all the time. It kind of, carrying it around with me is a heavy burden. Both. No. See, I always make jokes about it. I was going to say both figuratively and literally, but it's not nice to do it to myself, because if I said it to a friend, oh my god, like, I think about things that I've said by accident to friends about 10 years ago, and I think, oh god, that's so cringe that I said that. But I know that I just wouldn't ever say the thing that I've say about that to anybody else. I started saying some of the things out loud, and thinking about saying it to a friend and how they would feel about the rest of my body. It's the stomach that is something that I've still not got over.
How did you get over, because you didn't like your boobs before, so what did you do to get over that?
See, the thing is, I think I'm not fully over it. I think I'm just better dealing with it, because I just more like I'll say to people, I'm like, oh well, I have to fold them into my bra. And like, I'll probably make jokes, and that's my kind of go-to to make myself feel better. But I think with my bra situation, what I did was, the other week I was like, I'm going to buy new bras. I'm going to get rid of all the other ones that I was like, no, oh, they're like just ones that were just there to just keep them in place. I got nice ones, and I just invested in that for myself, because I felt like that was something I should treat it nicely. I should protect it, and like, I shouldn't just put myself in things that didn't make me happy, and I found that was a good first step, because I'm like, oh, this looks nice, and it's kind of like how I was presenting them, and I do kind of look at them and I'm not so ugh, anymore. Like, even though they don't look how I want them to look, and because I used to be very small, but that was also a lifetime ago, and I would choose how I am now in this body compared to the unhappiness that I had when I was a size 10 and I was with a complete dickhead. So I kind of, that's one thing that's helped. And also because he was so adamant that they were horrendous because they were Snoopy boobs, I think that's been a good thing for me, because I'm like, are you going to let someone like him, someone who has got away with what he's got away with, have that hold over you for the rest of your life? Like, no.
And he did the same with your belly, right? You know, he pointed that out and stuff.
Yeah, which is, I don't understand why. I think it's because I find in the summer it gets worse, because I am hot all the time anyway, and with my stomach it's something that gets, you know, like I get sore, like belly button, which I don't know, I think it's and I treat it, but I think the stomach is just the last thing that on my physical, because mentally I think that's where a lot of the damage is. But also I know that I wouldn't look at myself from anywhere from below my chin for such a long time. I didn't even know, I couldn't have even like pictured my body out of a lineup, I don't think, because I just genuinely didn't know what it looked like.
Do you think that there's any benefits to having your belly?
I definitely think it protects me. Like, I think I can't think of any off, like, yeah, I can't think of anything that sort of strikes me that I think that's a good purpose for it. I know that it helps protect my organs, but that's kind of one that I see a lot of people say, but I don't know for me what I think the purpose of it is, because when I was first gaining weight, because of my thyroid, I've kind of not been able to kind of be kind to myself about it. I think that's the big thing.
Do you think that that it could symbolize anything? Like, does it symbolize you overcoming this struggle and this struggle that you had to go through?
Yeah, I think it definitely holds a lot of upset, because, you know, of everything that happened, I feel that anything that makes me anxious, nervous, anything, it goes to my stomach straight away, and my stomach, it takes a beating for it. And I think that how my stomach looks as well, I've had people, like I had this little kid ask me the other month, it was a really awkward meal out, and this kid asked me when my baby was due, because I'm quite small up top and then my stomach goes out, and the parents just sat there, and it was so effing awkward, because there was 6 adults, so 3 couples, and there was 3 kids, and it just went silent. And I was like, oh my god. And I literally felt like I was standing there naked, and I felt like almost that I cried. We were driving back, and it was an hour-long drive, and I just cried the entire way home, just because I felt like, he's just like, and the thing is, even though it's a kid, it still hurts, because as well, also, think that I've got some issues in that area of my body, because we want to have kids, and I don't know if it's going to be that easy for me. So there's those things as well. So I think that kind of area of my body, I've got a lot of pressure on, and I'm just automatically hating it. And it's not good to carry that around with me, because, you know, there are actual parts of my body where I'm like, like I've been working on my weight training and my arms are getting big, and I'm like, yes, I love this, I'm getting strong, and I'm actually feeling muscles in my stomach, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like feeling good in that way. But I think because it's held so much sadness, I guess, that it's not good for me to carry it around at all.
Yeah.
You
know how, the word fat, and the reason why fat activists have reclaimed that word is because it was so powerfully painful. And by reclaiming it and saying, actually, you know what, we get to decide the meaning of it, it takes the power away. And exactly like you say, still it's very difficult for people to call themselves fat, or even like my business name Fierce Fatty. A lot of people are like, oh god, no, I don't want to be associated with fatty. But when you decide, actually, do you know what, fat is just a neutral descriptor, and it doesn't mean that I'm bad or lazy or whatever it is that society has put on that thing. And it feels, I don't know, something, you talking about your belly, it feels kind of like similar, like your belly is this representation of sad things or bad things or all of that type of stuff. And so is there a way for you to reclaim your belly and turn it into something that is neutral, or turn it into something that is a positive thing or a really cool thing about you, that that is something unique about you, and like a hard won part of your body that because you didn't always have this belly, and you went through some shit to get it, and to begin with it was very hard. But is there a way for you to get to a point where you're like, do you know what, it really represents what a motherfucking badass I am, because I overcame so much shit, and now I think it's fine. I think it's okay, or I think it's good.
Yeah, I do think that'd be, that's kind of what I'm hoping that I can gain from doing this, because I think when I look at what I've achieved, because people always, my mum, she'll say, oh, it's amazing, and she'll always send me little cards saying, like, remember what you've come through, and sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, but it's fine, like I just had to, didn't I? And she's like, you didn't have to, because I did have a full exit plan, and I don't mind saying that, but I did. But now, because I chose to survive, so I do need to be kinder to it, because all parts of me survived it. Because it almost feels like I'm just picking on this one thing. It's like that one person you just have a real beef with, and you don't know why. Like, it just feels like that I'm just really just being a cow to her, like just being mean to her, and she doesn't deserve it, really. Because she got me through a lot of things, and I wouldn't be the same person without it. Because it has challenged me, and it has taught me to try and just be happier with myself. And the thing is, I'm trying to wear, like, I wear lots of high-waisted trousers with like crop tops, and I do that sort of thing, and I'm very comfortable with the crop top side of things, but I'm trying to almost, it's like exposure therapy for myself, because I used to wear high-waisted jeans and a long top, but now I'm like, no, like I am hot, and it's nice to get that breeze under there wafting through on my crop top, so I will wear those high-waisted trousers, and it does accentuate my stomach, but I'm just kind of like, you know what, if someone thinks I'm pregnant, fine. But like, I think it's difficult, because there's always those questions about fertility in your mind. Like, for me, I know that it's always been something that I've desperately wanted, so I put a lot of pressure on myself for it to happen. And sometimes I think probably the fact that it hasn't happened yet for me, I think, is probably just a sign that I've probably got a few more things to do beforehand. I'm trying to see it as that because I don't want to bring up a child to be around me and then think that how I think about myself is normal, because I've said my mum, she would used to binge eat, and I just don't think that's, I would say it it did affect me, because I think I saw it, because I then picked it up when I was older, and I'd sneak food in when I was younger, when I was a teen, and I think that, you know, I just want to try and be the best version of myself, and like with my stomach, I just need to stop being a bully to it, because I advocate for the little guy, and me being mean to my stomach is kind of just being a massive hypocrite.
Yeah, being mean to that cute tummy of yours, and your little tummy's like, oh, hello, I'm just here hanging out, and you're just like, fuck you, I hate you, and it's like, no.
Yeah, why don't you look different?
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of our time together now. So what would you say, from our conversation, we've been chatting for an hour or so, is there anything that's standing out for you? Anything that's hit a chord, or any breakthroughs or aha moments?
I definitely think that it probably sounds like I've got quite a lot of myself together, which is kind of my go-to. But I think that when I actually really delve into how I see myself, that is something that comes along with a lot of sadness, which I think, because I'm not going to lie, I still to this day think that it was kind of my fault what happened to me with my ex, because I was there, I didn't stop it. I did try the first couple of times, but then I just realised that it was kind of futile. I kept going back to his house because we didn't live together. So I kind of think that I need to kind of work on that bit of sadness that I'm sort of carrying, and I think it's almost like personified in my stomach, because I just hate it. And I actually saw him not that long ago, the guy, and he tried to talk to me, and
oh God.
yeah, and he was like, hello, hi, hello, and I just went, just fuck off, and ran off crying. And he would never say that that's what happened, but I remember saying to him one time that, you know, that it was rape, and he would say, oh well, it's not rape if you're in a relationship, because that's practically consent.
Nope.
I was like,
nope.
No. So yeah, I do think that from this just chatting, it's nice to sort of think of kind of what I'm doing to my stomach, because I keep trying to push it out of the way. I'm like, no, I don't have a problem with it, but I know I do, and I know that it isn't doing me any favors feeling that way. So I'm kind of, my goal for Fierce Fatty, I think the academy that I feel like should really relate to something to do with my stomach, but I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know
would you wear something that actually exposes your stomach, like, I don't know, a bikini or a swimsuit with a cutout, or I don't know, something like that?
Oh, that literally makes me feel sick.
Well, then that's a good. Yeah. If it makes you feel sick, then that might be a good clue.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because I've just never thought. Because I remember someone saying to me once that, oh well, you shouldn't wear a bikini because you haven't got that body shape.
Oh, for God's sake, fuck off.
Yeah, like, and I've always wanted to do one of those boudoir photos, but
as well, you don't actually have to wear it outside. You could just wear it in your bedroom.
That's true.
You could just wear it in front of your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And if that's like still a little bit scary but is doable, then that might be a really good goal.
Yeah. I think, that would be quite a good one, actually.
Yeah, think about it. Have a think. See how it feels and how it sits with you. But I just want to recognise that, you know, it's only been a few years since you got out of that abusive relationship. And you said, did you say you're 28 or 29?
28.
28. So for 28 years, you've lived in a society that tells you that your body has to look a certain way. And so you've been working on this stuff for a small portion of your life. And so to get to where you are now, after having only relatively recently, even though it is years, left that relationship, and then also to work on that stuff, and then also to work on the body image stuff and food stuff. Holy shit, that is amazing. Really massive kudos, because it's the same journey that I've gone through. And I was with my ex for 2 years, from the age of 17 to 19. Now I'm 35, turning 36 in 6 days, and I'm still working on this stuff. And so you did it way quicker than I did. So you're amazing, basically.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for being here and sharing what is going on with your gorgeous brain, because I know a lot of people are in the exact same boat and have the exact same fears. And actually, people, the number one struggle in regards to things on their body that people don't like is the belly. And so you're not alone. You're in good company. A lot of fat people really struggle with their belly. So yeah. So thank you, Bethan.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is the our live coaching with Bethan. If you want more juicy stuff and you haven't already, make sure you get my Fierce Fatty Body Love Roadmap, which has the steps to take to get to a place of body love, and also the mistakes that everyone makes on this journey of body love and how you can avoid them. So check out the link in the bio, in the blubbity-boop underneath the show notes. And if you want to go straight to the show notes for this episode, then it's fiercefatty.com/043 for episode 43. All right, well, I will bid you adieu, and I will see you later, crocodile in a while, alligator. Goodbye.